Hello fellow map makers, welcome to another live map making session at last. I hope you're hearing me fine. Sound seems to be good according to my software, but please do let me know in the chat whether there's any problem. Now there's Sue's quick as usual. Sound is good, excellent, very nice. My apologies for the failed session last week. I had some technical problems with the streaming software with OBS. It demanded a new graphics driver update on my system, and that update didn't take until after a full system restart, so everything took too long to actually start the session on time and do everything in order. So I cancelled that at the time. But we're back this week with the same topic we were planning last week, taking a look at the latest annual issue, the Parchment City style by Pär Lindström. So I hope you forgive me for skipping the session last week, and we are gonna dig into some mapping tonight. As usual, if you have any questions during the session, please do let us know in the chat, and I'll be happy to show stuff that I can on screen, and lots of people there will be happy to chime in with helpful tips and advice if it's possible to answer that in the chat. Alright, so let's see where we are. We have the sample map here on screen, and as you can see, Parchment City is the name taken from the look. Nice paper, parchment background, and it actually emulates 19th century, early 19th century, late 19th century, early 20th century's map of cities. Pär did one of these for I think a Swedish role-playing game, and we took his work and converted it into a city designer style. And it's designed to make creating these large city-scale maps as easy and quick as possible. And we'll see how we do with that today. Alright, so let's have a look at our map here on our interface, and click the new map button to start our fresh map, new map. And we are using the map type cities, obviously, and I'm going to click next. And then we do have the Parchment City templates, the metric one and the imperial one here in the list. I'm going to use the imperial one, click next. And then I get to set the size of the map. As it is in feet, we do need quite a large map for a city. We're not doing a full city, just a section today, so we'll keep to something like 3,000 feet, about a kilometer in width, and 2,400 feet in height. So, and then I'm gonna just finish at this point, not bother about the other options, and save the map, the fresh map, in my video folder. And here's our blank map where we start from. So the style does assume that we do have a some kind of coastline on the map, a harbor, a river, or something like that, and basically start with the coastline or the land area, and that everything else, the background basically is water. And I'm thinking a bit about this project here as I start. I'm thinking I want to put in a large river or something with some bridges across it, like a big railway bridge, which would be nice for fitting for a city of the time. And so we're gonna take that into account by creating basically two halves of a landmass and then adding some bridges there in the center. Alright, so let's right click or click the all city drawing tools, and we have the land default tool here with which we can use to create our coastline. And here I'm just gonna do that, do a little few kinks in here for some keys or something like that, or perhaps a little canal inlet, something like that. And all the way to the map border, click a little bit beyond the map border here, and then right click to finish. Doing a refresh will also show you that we've got the sheet effects set up and activated right from the start, and we do have a nice little outline here for the coast. And now I do need my opposite section of the city. I'm not going to put in the bridges yet at this point. That's going to happen in a moment, because I do want to do a little bit of special work there for that. And I'm just going to do the same as I did in the southwest corner, up in the northeast corner. And there's my section here. So I've got my river here in the center of the city, and I'm going to add the usual city stuff on both sides. But first off, I want to create my bridges, and basically just the bridges by showing them as the same background as for the land area across the river. And I can do that, simply say I want a road bridge here. At this point I can just do this, draw this across, and the sheet effects will use all the entities on the sheet, on the land sheet here I'm on, as one big area, and add the sheet effects around that area, like the black outline and the staggered lines here along the coast. Edge striping is the effect name, as Sue just put in the chat. Yes. I might show you just how that sheet effect work while we're using it as strongly here. So let's open up the sheet effects and go to the land sheet. And you see here we've got a color key effect that's not in use yet, so I'm going to refer back to that later. And the outer glow that creates the black outline on the landmass, on the land area itself, and then the edge striping. And if I edit the edge striping, you'll see that it refers to a PNG file, and these are the edge striping files you see in here. Basically, it's a partially transparent PNG with the lines in there, and Campaign Cartographer uses these lines and puts them around the object around all the objects on the sheet. So you can create more lines, less lines with the PNG files and apply them to the sheet here. And this is how large the area, how large this PNG will scale in map units, and how much it's going to be blurred, just a very little bit here on that large map, and whether the striping gets placed outside the object or inside the object or on both sides. That's the edge striping effect. Alright, so we've got our first road bridge here, and I want to add a second one, and I'm still using my effect here, and I'm just gonna make this a little bit narrower and put it slightly at an angle across the river. There we go. And now I do want to add one special bridge. I'm gonna thinking of a railway bridge, an older one, which has pylons sunken on little islands in the center of the river. And I do want to draw this a little more regularly. Basically, I'm thinking I do want to give it a bit of a special look, but that needs to be regular, so I need to design a little bit before I work on this map. And for that, I'm gonna switch to a temporary layer. Just add a temp layer here and pick a highly visible color. And I'm going to start off by just drawing a turning the grid on, and I'm gonna just draw something a little bit regular. So basically line one side of the bridge basically with these islands where the bridge is placed on, like this. And then to make it a totally regular look, I'm gonna mirror this. So I'm gonna do a mirrored copy of this entity. I'm thinking like this. I'm thinking the is perhaps a little bit too wide, this whole thing. So what I'm going to do is we're going to turn off snap, turn on orthogonal instead. So I'm just moving stuff vertically, horizontally, and let's put it like this. Here we go. And that's a bit hard to see, isn't it, on screen on the video with the light green on this background. So let's make it a different color. There we go. It should be visible, more visible. And then I'm just going to grab these two entities and turn off my grid snap and move it and scale it to a position I want it. So here, larger, like this. This is where I want my bridge to be. And now I could transform this, combine this into a polygon and stuff, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to use my land drawing tool and trace this. So this is another easy way to just keep or don't have to bother about the properties of the entity, that because I'm using the drawing tool that will have all these preset. I'm just using the shapes as guides. I'm starting this, and I'm using F5, the endpoint modifier, to start here at the end of the line. And now I'm going to hit T for trace, grab the entity I want to trace, starting point on the entity all the way here to the end. Then I'm gonna trace the next one, starting here all the way down to here, right click to finish, and that's it. And there's my bridge on the map. And I'm gonna erase everything with the color I picked for those temporary entities. And now they're gone again. And there's my nicely regular, it's exactly mirrored and regular because I drew it on the grid and then just mirror copied the other half, but aligned freely by rotating and moving it afterwards. Alright, so far so good. Now I've got my big river with the bridges across, and next up I'm gonna need to add a few streets or city backgrounds. So what I'm gonna start with actually, I think, is putting in the railway lines for a city of the time of the late 19th century. It's railways are gonna be one of the main forms of transportation, very important for industry and everything, defining feature, and so it makes sense to lay down some railway tracks and a railway station. So let's put in the big railway station of our city, and we've got a couple, a large and a small train station here in these special building symbols. So I'm just gonna choose my layer to go to railway, pick my big train station, and as you can see, these align like many city symbols to edges. So it probably makes sense to draw the railway line first and then align the station to the railway. So let's gonna do it that way. So I'm gonna right click the road tool, and I've got a railway drawing tool here. And so important, we do have the main rail artery is gonna cross this bridge here, and I'm thinking I'm gonna have two lines or branches coming down from two different sides. So let's start with this one, put this here, So my big railway station is going to be here, and then I'm going to continue to this edge here and zoom in a bit, and I'm going to grab this and I'm going to just draw this. I could go in and do a parallel line here for this if I wanted to, but I'm fine with this being just hand drawn for the moment here. So do that, and I'm going to do a double line, 2 tracks basically, this way to here. And then I'm gonna take another line coming up from the south here, going to the bridge. But then let's merge this with this line here. Oops, that was the wrong line I picked with the end. I'm using the, oops, where am I? Oh, there we go. I'm using F9 modifier, the on modifier, to put the line on the other one. There we go, and the 2 lines merge here. Thinking I want another smaller branching line coming up here from this side, and just connect this to the line down here. And then we can do stuff like doing a few branches here. Might even do something like, it's likely if we had a direct connection here that we can do one going south directly here. These 2 will be merging down here somewhere. And there's our main railway lines. So that's the railway lines I wanted, and now I'm going to grab this train station as planned, and you can see it aligns perfectly to the railway lines here. So I'm going to put it here as one, and I'm actually going to put in another building on the other side. Here I'm going to see if I align it directly, put it on this line here, the little nook here is going to point towards the line. But if I want to change that, I just can move my mouse on the other side of the line, and then will flip around. I click there, and I can just still decide the distance from the line and put it on this side here if I want the longer line closer to the rail. There we go, there's our railway station. Excellent stuff. So next up, I do want to lay down my main city blocks. Basically use the city block symbols here in the Style City catalog to fill out the main area of the map. And as you can see, as the mapping guide describes, all the symbols from this style are collected in the one catalog that comes up when you load the map. And this, just because they are grouped into collections, you can see that there's quite a lot of different block symbols here. 40 of them, I think, actually. Yeah, all behind one of the same thing. Similar here to the special buildings, there's a few behind each of the little collection. If you click on the plus, it will open up the collection and show you all of the symbols in that group. So as the blocks work the same way again, so let's just, for example, grab a block. Actually, I'm going to switch the layer here first to put them on default building layer to start with. So I'm going to put it on building house. Grab one of the blocks, and you can see it adjusts to the coastline here, my river shore, and that's could be fine if I want to use that. Perhaps I do want to do more a line along this way parallel to this assumed street here. Then it's a bit inconvenient because I don't have the street as an entity, so I can't align it. I can always say I can always disable smart symbols and just scale or rotate this by eye and hand. Or what I can do, I can put down some streets first and then align the blocks to that. So let's have a look at that. Let's look up here. And if here we've got the road, default road here, and say I wanted to place this here as the road going across the bridge. You'll notice that we don't actually see anything of that much because it does use the same bitmap fill as the land area fill, and that's intended because the basically the streets are the cutouts, the left out pieces on the map, which are not shown that as themselves, just by omission basically of buildings and other stuff around it. But what we can do is we can still use this now as a if we enable the smart symbols again. You can see that it does align to the street now, even if the street is invisible. And so we've got the block down here without any problems. And what we can also do if we want to show build-up areas of the city, let's have a quick look. Oh, actually, what we also, that's not quite what I want to show. But let's have a look here. If I go into this, where's my, up here, the urban area symbol. Say I wanted to just highlight the area that is actually urbanized. Doesn't make much sense on this map because it's probably all going to be urbanized, but it's more interesting if you've got some natural areas around it. Then you can see that the street now becomes visible. Oh, but I did misclick here. Let's edit this one. There we go. And now you can see the street here on this area. But I'm actually not quite ready to do these urban areas yet. This is just for showing them. So for now, I'm going to remove that. And instead, I'm going to grab more city blocks and do stuff like filling out the areas of this here. If you got it aligned, and then the next one will use the same angle for the building as the previous one, so that works quite nicely together. I can also, and by leaving gaps between the different symbols, you can just by omission basically create the thoroughfares and streets of the city. And this way you can see we can cycle through the different available blocks until we find something that we want. And here see at the map border it's a bit inconvenient because it always aligns to the map border. So I'm going to disable my smart symbol for a moment, and then I can just add this as I prefer. I'm going to leave this as a space there, and here we can of course also just scale and rotate these manually. Some harborfront blocks areas, and we simply create the streets by the omissions between these different city blocks. You can also, of course, also overlap them if you don't want to have a gap between these blocks. So that works just as well. That's not quite what I want here. So I'm going to cycle through them until I find a block that fits my plans for the place. And there we go. And then you can also go in and add individual areas. See if you want to create shapes that do not use the predefined building blocks. I can just, for example, grab a yard here. That's basically similar to the brighter areas here, and create something along the railway line. And there we go. And then I'm going to use the house tool and attach it to the edges of this yard area. There we go. And can build houses here for my own blocks. This is, as you can see, a lot more time consuming, so I would only recommend this on smaller maps, or if you have a few individual blocks that you want to create in very specific shapes. Otherwise, it's much quicker and easier to just simply use the predefined blocks and live with the shapes they give you. There we go. And there's my area filled out with the hand-drawn drawing tools. So, do I want to, what I want to show you, so say I want to have some yard areas or park areas here. Say I want to create a park somewhere. So we've got a park here. Like this. And I want to draw a road, a street or path across this. I can, now I have to remember, can I use these ones directly? Oh yes, I can actually, same as with the other ones. I'm trying, I think let me have a quick look. I do have the color cut out versions of the roads, and let me just have to remind myself which sheets they go on. So which the cards, they also go on the area sheet. So, but they have a second outline thing that goes on the background urban sheets. So yeah, so if you've got two sheets on top of each other, the urban area one here. Say if I create this urban area and I've got the park above that. No, it's still really not. Now I remember why I have them included. What you can see here, where the street cuts through this, it does not give you the black outlines of the shapes that you would have on the edges of these. So you can see that it's actually an entity that lies on top of the urban area and the park area here. But if I use one of the cutout roads here, it will create instead a gap in the ones, and so the sheet effects of the black outline do get applied to the edges here. That's the difference between the two different street or road drawing tools, the cutout versions and the fill style versions. Sorry, I had to remind myself a bit about that, why I had them set up that way. It's now a bit due to the missed week, a little bit longer ago. There we go. And then I do want to get rid of this area here, but this way you can create nice little pathways inside the park area. like this. Just using the F9 modifier to connect the different paths. Do a refresh, and there you have these nice little pathways inside the park. Okay, I'm seeing that Quentin likes this for a big city, city of Odessa. Yes, big cities are always a large amount of work, especially if you have to place individual buildings. So therefore, these pre-designed city blocks are very helpful. As you can see, I can just grab something here, align it to the park's edge, put it far enough away to give the impression of a street running along there. Then take another one here. I've already aligned it the correct way, like this. Something else a little bit more. And if you want the correct angle, but you can't quite get it here because the line doesn't extend this far, you can always put it in here first. And then just move the whole thing a little bit. That way the angle gets preserved. And there we go. And you can always, of course, right-click on this, expand the collection to see all of them, grab a specific one you want, and apply that to the map as needed. So, example, if I wanted to have this in a mirrored way, I can just right-click and say mirror. Oops, no, that's not what I wanted. Mirror, there we go. And then this is the right way around. There we go. Like, you can always align it to something a little further away. Still place it here. And there we go. Or if too many lines get in the way, disable the smart checking for a moment, put in the symbol, then set everything back to normal, grab the random collection again, and continue placing symbols as needed. Well, it's not quite what I want here. Too large, everything. Yes, you can see that the symbols are extending beyond the map border here for the moment, but we can always extend our covering area later, or just export this without these limited to the map border, and that way we'll just be able to ignore that. So smart symbols. This around. Oh, actually, that's probably, we would have a road extending from the bridge here, so let's just do this. This could certainly be done more carefully and more realistically with a little bit more time, but for demo purposes, I'm just generally placing down symbols pretty quickly here and fill up the city areas. So we do need some spaces here on the other side of the railway station, some blocks for the harbor here. No, that's not, that's blocking off that road here basically. Didn't like that. Let's try building a road going through all the way to this train station here. There we go. And this can be quite a meditative process, filling out the whole city like this with housing blocks. Yes, as Quentin mentions, of course, you can create new blocks as well. You can always draw them in here with the special drawing tools for that, and export them as PNGs for define as new symbols, or just define them as groups and reuse them in the map. So and then we've always got the special symbols here. If I want to highlight special individual buildings in the city, I've got a number of different ones in here, which I can just plop down. And we've also got, if we want to create our own ones for that, we do have this special building drawing tool. You can draw them with the drawing tool in the same look as the predefined symbols. Oops, that was a misclick. So Sue mentions Quentin asking for a demo. So let's have a quick look. So let's say I want to draw a block that I can reuse at a later time. So let's have put on the grid to make it a little bit more regular. Grab our yard. Grid is a little bit large, make it 10-foot grid. So go in here. It's the background shape, then grab the house symbol. Oh, actually, what I'm forgetting, what we can also, we've also got house tools for this. So we can go in here, click the house command, and it's just should be, there we are, the default house tool here, CA208, insert that. And they look just the same. Okay, let's do a little bit of different shape. This. Oh, that was a bit of a misclick. I'm too far away for that here. Sorry, I have to go back in. And let's grab the house symbol again. Let's do a little bit simpler shape like this one here. There we go. And say we wanted to use this as our block, we can just go in and say File, Save as Rectangular Section PNG. Gonna save in Parchment City style here, and block, my block 1. Oops, sorry, bit finicky with my mouse here. Block 1, and we should make it a lot smaller. We don't need the big size export. There we go. Exported that, and I could go now in my video folder here, load this up in here and place this. This is just without any further editing and stuff. Oh, actually because I said I wanted to open that in an external viewer. There we go, and here's my gonna delete the original. It does look a little bit different. I would have to export it a little bit smaller, I guess, or rescale it in Photoshop first to make it match the other stuff more better. But you can see the idea. You could just export this as a symbol and then import this again as a bitmap. You can then also go in and do stuff like making a proper symbol out of it by clicking the options in the style, make it a symbol, force it to go on the symbols sheet, and also edit it and do stuff like adding a control point so it aligns to existing things. So it should go on the symbol definition layer. Here we go. Symbols, add control point, and add this to the lower edge here. Not cutting, instead keep dynamic track, scale, and offset from place point. Also change layer. This here should probably be on the symbol definition layer as well. Save it. And now the symbol will work a little bit more like the others in that it... No, it doesn't. Was probably the insertion point. Let's have a quick look whether I can still fix it. It's not actually proper use here. I should probably insert it as a proper bitmap. But this is just a quick hot take on creating this as a symbol. And use the midpoint down here to move it towards the insertion point. There we go. Let's see whether it works now. I do need to. Problem with it was not working because I have still my smart symbols disabled. And you can see now it does align to existing entities. And it's now probably behaving like a normal symbol that I created for the style. And this way you can create your own block symbols and work with them. But we are not quite finished here yet. What I wanted to do here is now show some, create some railway yards. And for that I'm just simply grabbing the yard drawing tool, creating some areas. You can just create them around existing buildings to place the building then within the yard. Here we go. This way, fitting in the areas here. I can also say I just want to highlight some generally built up areas without going into placing individual houses, and therefore I'm just going to grab this urban area tool, fill in some shapes with that, and fill the area in this way. Let's just finish up the area here on the top. Set the symbol back to normal. Oh, sorry. I saw there's something from Sue. We got a question from Versus whether we have any plans to integrate the block placement with Waterboo's city generators and stuff. No specific plans as such, but since we are working together with the creator of Waterboo on further stuff for CC4, well, there might be coming something along those lines. We're certainly going to do something city related there. So no promises what specifically, but I'm very sure that we'll have stuff coming up there. Go, and then say I wanted to place another specific building here, something built across a bit of the water here that are actually quite nice, like this. And then you can use things like the integrated banners here to highlight specific places. So say we're going into labeling and set this to normal. Say you wanted to highlight this specific building here. You can always make this a little bit larger. There we go. Just give a look at, so to keep the scale consistent, if I want to place more like these, I'm just going to put in a numerical size so that I can remember 1.5. Put this in here. Then I'm going to grab the, actually I should also put this on the proper layer first, so it's organized correctly. And let's put it on the text labels layer. And so let's call this the Harbor Master. Well, let's perhaps be a bit too fantastic. Let's call it the Harbor Offices, or even better, the Port Offices. I need to scale this mid-center. And there we do have a nice little highlight on the map for showing special places. So say, gonna grab the same size. And then again go in and let's call this just main station. There we go. And this way you can highlight places like that, or just put in individual names. So if you have something longer, you can also use the banner symbols we have. So grab the banner here, perhaps make this a little bit larger again, set it back to normal, turn on snap though. Here we go. Then grab the banner, put it matching. This is a connecting symbol, so you can define the length yourself. There we go. Grab the end of the banner here. Oh, I've got a little gap in here. Ah, yes, there's a pixel gap in that, so I'll probably need to, depending on the zoom level, whether you see that or not. But if you want to fix that a little bit, just move the symbol over a little bit so they overlap. There we go. Oh no, that didn't really work, did it? That's better. And so let's call this the Newbury Bridge. And there we've got a nice variable length label on the map where we can put longer text on the label. And of course you can also just put in text labels normally without any special fancy backgrounds or anything. Let's call that then Olsen River. If I can type that correctly, there we go. Line the text, scale it to size, place it down here, and there's my text on the map. And that way we can create a nice, fairly modern looking map. Let's go back to the city blocks and fill out the rest down here on the other side of the river. This time I'm going to align this to this side of the canal. Oh, yes, Sue mentions I misspelled this. I spelled it river and not river. Let's correct that. There we go. Numeric edit edits all entities depending on the type of edit, so you can just use it to edit text itself. Always useful feature. You don't need to go through the other through the text edit text stuff here. You can just use numeric edit to individually edit any specific piece of text. Smart symbols here, I think, for now, as I don't want to. No, not quite happy with what I'm getting here, so I'll make it a bit larger. That's better. Can be sometimes a bit tricky to align these so the streets look regular. That's where the auto line comes in quite handy, but I'm not so good with this at the moment here. I want to align this with the direction of the bridge, and then I want to just add a park area here to cut off that piece to align these nicely. There we go. Add a bit of park area here. Then again, I'm gonna go for some yards. And now we've almost filled all of the city area. I can always grab a little bit of special building here, place it on here. If I want to show a crossing of the railway of a street, I think I can just grab a street tool here and say I want a railway bridge going across here. Then we'll just overlap this. It's a bit small. Let's make that a bit larger. What did I grab there? Did I grab the 20-foot bridge? Yeah, still a bit small. That is also only 10 foot. Sounds drawing too long. Let's have a look. 10 foot. Yes, actually the drawing tool is wrong. Something to correct in the setup. It should be 20 feet if the name says 20 feet. Let's see, probably a copy of the tool and then not updated. Yeah, well, looks like the 10 has a 10 width, but the 20 didn't change that. All right. Quick and easy to fix. There we go. Say something like this here. And then grab urban area. Like this. grab a special building. That's just the one. Oh, actually. I did load that individual PNG, that's why I'm not seeing the default drawing catalog. I could just, of course, simply reload that into the symbol catalog here. But what's actually probably easier is to just reload the map, because reloading the map will also reload the default catalog. And here we are again. So let's place a building, special building here, and another one here. So I do have want a big cathedral somewhere here. We go, and then we could go in again and grab the banner location here, set it back to normal, and then, as I remember, 1.5 size. And then grab the properties of the text down here. No, it's not actually the text. I've clicked problems again that are not seeing what's behind that, but here we go. No, come on. John's Church. Not crutch, but church. And again, we could either rescale this. Well, let's scale the text so it matches the text label. There we go. And then go on and label important locations in my city. Now I can also just still go ahead, I think. Let's see whether it works in the setup here. Do a color to hide the symbols extending beyond the border. Calculate, and there we go. Oh, the only problem is that the screen got added, and it should be behind the map border, so we can actually see the map border. There we go. And then we need to zoom in a bit, because the map screen does extend our mapping area a bit. There we go. And from here we can add more labels, a title and everything, and create a nice looking early, no, it's not early modern, but modern looking city map for a city. No time at all. All right, and that's our hour of mapping done, and I hope you like the annual and try your own maps with it. I've already seen at least one map on the forum, I think by Quentin, who started on working with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'm glad we managed to do this without technical hiccups this week, and I should be back next week with the next map making session. Until then, enjoy making your own maps and have a good time. Bye bye.